Good morning, America. Massive snowstorm disrupting plans for millions of Americans on what's expected to be the busiest travel day of the year. Travelers stranded overnight with more than 1,000 flights canceled and thousands more delayed. Drivers navigating through treacherous roads. Samara tracking the storm as it moves east.
Breaking overnight, mass shooting. At least 4 people killed, 10 wounded when gunfire breaks out at a celebration in California. The gunman still on the loose.
Urgent talks in the efforts to end the Russia-Ukraine war. The critical meeting being held today as deadly Russian strikes hit Kyiv for a second night in a row.
Escalating tensions. The Trump administration raising the stakes with Venezuela, the looming threat with U.S. forces in the Caribbean, and the response from the Maduro government this morning.
New flu strain spreading internationally with fears it could take hold here, and how to protect yourself.
Cyber Monday sales, the deals going live, how you can save a bundle on clothes, cosmetics, and even furniture. The store is offering up to 60% off.
And rivalry week.
Touchdown!
The Ohio State Buckeyes are the comeback kids after a 4-year drought.
Mateer, downfield wide open. It's room service.
While Oklahoma turns the tables against LSU. All the college football highlights, plus Herm Edwards sizing up today's Week 13 NFL matchups.
Live from ABC News headquarters in New York City, it's Sunday. Good morning, America.
Right round. This is how my football picks are going to go. Starting now, we're going to turn it right round.
I don't know if you can.
We'll see, bud. We'll
Make
see.
it a comeback. We're going to get to all of that coming up in just a bit. Good morning, America. It's great to have you with us on this Sunday. A lot to cover here, and we're going to start off with the travel troubles facing millions of Americans as they head home from the Thanksgiving holiday weekend.
Yes, air travelers, they faced a day of delays and cancellations at the airports due to that massive Midwest snowstorm. And it wasn't much better on the snow and ice-covered roads, trying to avoid all of the pileups. That one there in Indiana.
Ooh, look at that. We have team coverage here on the big journey home. It is expected to be the busiest travel day of the year so far. So let's get right to one of the busiest airports, Newark Liberty. That's where we find ABC's Morgan Norwood. Good morning, Morgan.
Hey, good morning to you, Gio. You said it. It is the busiest travel day of the year. And to put it plainly, we are already off to a rough start. Yesterday, more than 2,000 flights canceled, more than half of them out of Chicago, where, of course, they've been dealing with that massive winter storm. And this morning, we're already waking up to at least 450 cancellations. And the FAA is warning that the disruptions have just started.
This morning, a major winter storm bearing down just as an estimated 3 million people fly home from the Thanksgiving holiday.
We're going to get an extra day in the city because our flight got canceled.
Chicago walloped, more than 1,000 flights canceled and hundreds more delayed at O'Hare during the height of the storm. The Felt family from New Orleans stranded for nearly 12 hours.
We've been getting 1-hour increment delays since about 8:30 this morning.
Snow-covered tarmacs and icy plains. Crews scrambling to keep up.
I'm in the machine right now getting the snow, putting it down, laying it down, trying to keep y'all safe.
That storm system stretching from the plains to the Great Lakes, 8 inches in Rochester, Minnesota. Lake effect bands slamming the region. And in Terre Haute, Indiana, state police rushing to this 45-vehicle pileup on I-70. Slick roads shutting down the highway for hours. Stranded drivers on the side of the road wrapped in blankets in blizzard conditions. The semi being pulled from the wreckage.
With no major injuries, we're going to chalk that up as a win here and hope that people learn that, hey, when the snow starts falling, it's time to slow down.
And as a reminder, you want to get to the airport early. Give yourself time to get to the airport. In fact, when I was coming in this morning, it took me about 20 minutes just to get through the terminal traffic. We always say as well to download your airline's app for those real-time alerts. And if your flight is canceled, call and get in line. You never know what's going to be quicker with.
Yeah, that terminal traffic, that's a good reminder there, Morgan. Thank you. And as you just saw there, the roads can be treacherous too, especially with that new storm and lake effect snow causing dozens of traffic accidents across the U.S. Let's go to ABC's Andrew Dimbert for a look at highway travel today. Andrew, good morning. How's it looking out there?
Good morning, Whit. Well, as tens of millions of Americans make their way home from their Thanksgiving holiday weekend, AAA predicts 73 million, or about 90% of all Thanksgiving travelers, to be driving. That's up nearly 1.5 million from a year ago. The worst time to hit the roads, between 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. today. The best time, any time before 11 a.m. The earlier, the better. Now, if you plan to push your drive back to Monday, Tuesday, or even Wednesday, the afternoons are expected to be the most congested, and prepare yourself for some potential travel trouble along the I-95 corridor. With rain in the forecast, heavy at times, things could slow to a crawl depending on where you're coming from and going to. About the only thing to expect less of this year is how much you pay at the pump. Gas prices hovering around $3 a gallon nationwide, down ever so slightly from last year. Janae?
But we'll take what we can get, Andrew. Thank you so much. And our weather team has been tracking that storm as it heads east now. Let's go to Samara with more. This is a big, massive storm, Samara, that's causing a lot of travel trouble.
That's right, Janae, and it's headed for us right here on the East Coast. Good morning, everyone. Take a look at Green Bay, Wisconsin. These cameras telling the story that they are looking like a winter wonderland there in Wisconsin. Finally starting to taper off, but the snow is really picking up in Grand Rapids, Michigan there. Chicago, Illinois, also seeing some light snow. Here it is on radar, another visual here. You can see the entire system moving to the northeast. Southern tier also bringing rain to parts of the southeast. And then if you look at the timing on this, give it some time. It's going to move through places like upstate New York, bringing snow there, rain along the I-95 corridor. And then overnight, we finally dry out with much lighter snow totals as it hits the East Coast as opposed to when it was in the Midwest. That's a look at the forecast. Gio, back to you.
Yeah, be very careful on the roads. Take it easy. All right, Samara, thank you so much. We turn now to the breaking news overnight. A deadly mass shooting in California. At least 4 people killed and 10 wounded when gunfire erupted during a family celebration. ABC's Melissa Adon is in Los Angeles with this developing story. Melissa, good morning.
And Gio, good morning. So the story is developing as police in Stockton are searching for that shooter who is still at large. This after police say that shooter opened fire during a family celebration. This morning, officials investigating a deadly mass shooting, killing at least 4 people and injuring 10 others during a party in Stockton, California.
They have 4 victims. We might want to get some more resources.
Police say they received reports of shots fired around 6 p.m. Saturday at a banquet hall. First responders rushing to the scene where at least 14 people, including children, were shot and taken to local hospitals. Witnesses say they heard several rounds of gunshots.
There was 3 sets of gunfire. That wasn't really too concerned about it, but then the next 2 sets came, and then all of a sudden there was all these police were here.
Investigators say they believe this was a targeted incident and the suspect remains at large.
Our #1 priority is ensuring that we find that suspect and hold them accountable.
The Central Valley community now reeling amidst the gun violence.
This is Thanksgiving weekend. This is when families come together, celebrate, share memories, give each other love. And unfortunately tonight, heaven is a little bigger.
Now investigators are urging those with any information about the shooting to come forward as detectives work to determine the motive.
Just an awful scene. All right, Melissa, thank you for that. Now to the war in Ukraine and renewed efforts to bring peace. A Ukrainian delegation is in Florida today to meet with members of the Trump administration, even as Russia launches more drone and missile attacks on Kyiv. ABC's Patrick Reevell joins us from Ukraine with the latest. Patrick, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. We are entering a crunch week for President Trump's peace efforts. Senior Ukrainian officials will sit down in Florida today with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, as well as President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. They're trying to hammer out an agreed position before Witkoff and possibly Kushner go to Moscow early next week to present a peace proposal to Vladimir Putin. Ukrainian officials have told us that the plan is much more acceptable to them now, but that the most difficult issues are still unresolved, including whether Ukraine will surrender territory and security guarantees. But Vladimir Putin has already signaled that he won't compromise, demanding that Ukraine must withdraw from the land that he claims and saying that it's pointless to sign anything with President Zelensky. And Putin will feel that he has Ukraine on the back foot. Zelensky has just lost his chief of staff to a corruption scandal, and Russian air attacks are getting worse every week. Last night, again, at least one person was killed and nearly 20 injured in a bad attack near Kyiv. The next few days will show if there's any chance of a peace deal soon, but few here in Ukraine have much hope that it will. Janae.
All right, a lot to still watch. Patrick, our thanks to you. Now let's bring in ABC News Chief Washington anchor Jonathan Karl, who will be hosting This Week Later. John, thank you for being with us. Let's pick right up there. What are the stakes as U.S. officials head to Russia this week?
The stakes are huge. We've heard from Putin this week that he doesn't believe that he can have a deal with Vladimir Zelensky's government because it has no legitimacy. So this, as President Trump is pushing to get a quick resolution to this war that has now dragged on for several years, it looks like there is no desire on the part of the Russians to actually come to a peace agreement. And the peace agreement, the draft that had been circulated by the Trump administration, has been essentially rejected by Ukraine. So we'll see where this goes. But this is a high-stake juncture. As you know, Janae, the president recently said that Thanksgiving would be his deadline for this agreement. That has obviously come and gone.
And still little hope, as Patrick was just mentioning there, for a peace deal in Kyiv. Also, John, want to turn to that deadly National Guard shooting in Washington. The Trump administration announced Friday that it's pausing all asylum decisions in the meantime. What's the potential impact of this?
Well, look, there are several thousand Afghan nationals who were brought into this country after that chaotic departure from Afghanistan. These were Afghan nationals who worked with the U.S., worked with U.S. troops, with U.S. intelligence agencies, and were granted permission to come to the United States. Many of them granted asylum. In fact, thousands of them granted asylum by the Trump administration. So this could be far-reaching implications. We'll be talking to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem about all of this.
And we're looking forward to that. I know you have a big show coming up, John. Thank you. And you at home, make sure to tune in to This Week Later. John, as he mentioned, speaks with Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem about that D.C. shooting and the fallout afterwards. Plus, Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen and Republican Representative Don Bacon on the latest in negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. Gio.
Okay, Janae, now to President Trump's latest move to increase pressure on Venezuela, telling airlines to consider Venezuela's airspace closed. ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang is at Mar-a-Lago, where the president is spending the weekend. Selena, good morning.
Hey, Gio, good morning. So it's unclear what exactly President Trump is signaling with that latest announcement, but no question he's been ramping up pressure on Venezuela's leadership for weeks now. And just days ago, Trump warned that land operations targeting alleged drug traffickers inside Venezuela could begin very soon.
This morning, President Trump escalating tensions with Venezuela, warning all airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety. Trump giving no further details, but just days ago warned land operations against alleged drug traffickers in Venezuela would start very soon.
Probably noticed that people aren't wanting to be delivering by sea, and we'll be starting to stop them by land also.
Venezuela firing back, calling Trump's airspace declaration a colonialist threat and unjustified aggression against the Venezuelan people. All of this after the FAA warned major airlines last week about a potentially hazardous situation in the skies over Venezuela. Soon after, 6 international carriers suspended flights to Venezuela's capital, Caracas. Trump has been ramping up military pressure on Venezuela in the Caribbean Sea, deploying the USS Gerald Ford, the largest and most lethal carrier in the world, a massive show of force aimed at Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, who the Trump administration claims is responsible for trafficking drugs into the U.S. Maduro has denied any ties to the drug trade. Since September, the U.S. has launched at least 20 strikes on suspected drug boats in the Caribbean Sea, killing more than 80 people. But the administration has offered no public evidence to prove they were actually smuggling drugs, sparking international outrage.
Now, the Trump administration has formally added Venezuela's leadership to the State Department's list of the world's most dangerous terrorist organizations. But at the same time, Trump is pardoning the former president of Honduras, who is convicted in a U.S. federal court of trafficking massive amounts of cocaine into the United States. Whit?
All right, Selena weighing for us. We appreciate it. Turning now to a GMA health alert about the flu as the holiday season and gatherings kick into high gear. Our medical correspondent, Dr. Darian Sutton, is here to explain what you need to know about flu activity so far this year. Dr. Sutton, it's always great to see you. Good morning. So let's break down the latest data, and there's a new strain of the flu that we need to know about.
Yeah, right now we're focusing on a new strain, a subvariant called H3N2. Now, this was responsible for the earlier and heavier flu season we saw in the UK and Japan. Japan now declaring a flu epidemic. And we're starting to see of the samples that have been analyzed, about half the samples in the United States are this strain. I just want to show you this by the numbers where we stand versus or regarding the CDC numbers. We're approximately 7,400 hospitalizations. That tells us that we're very early on in the flu season. Last year, we peaked around 600,000 hospitalizations. So it's a reminder it's still time to prepare. Now, the problem here is that this strain appeared after flu vaccines were manufactured. That causes concern that it might reduce the effectiveness of these vaccines.
I think a big question is always like, well, is it the flu? Is it the cold? Is it something else?
Yeah.
So how do you know what you have?
You know, at the end of the day, if you are symptomatic, treat it as it's the worst thing. If it's the flu, for example, you want to make sure to reduce your risk of transmission. But from my experience with patients, the flu often is very severe and very sudden. Headaches, fever, muscle aches, those are more likely the flu rather than a cold, which is typically sore throat without a fever, without systemic symptoms. Regardless, again, if you have symptoms, place a mask on yourself and isolate yourself, especially from those who are high risk.
All right, good stuff.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr.
Of course.
Darian Sutton, as always. All right, we're going to turn now to the holiday shopping season, off to a record-breaking Black Friday start. Cyber Monday coming up, and you see Will Ganss. He's ready to go right there with all the deals. What's going on, Will?
Cha-chingle all the way, Gio. 'Tis the season to be spending, and Americans did just that this holiday weekend, breaking online shopping records. Get this, according to Adobe, between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Black Friday, $12.5 million were spent online every single minute. In total, spending an historic $11.8 billion online. That's up 9.1% year over year. But just because you're spending doesn't mean you can't be saving too. So let's talk Cyber Monday deals. Kohl's Cyber Days have already kicked off, lasting through Monday with up to 50% discounts on Sephora at Kohl's products and up to 60% off Christmas trees. And at the Gap online, get 50% off everything and 60% off select items. Meanwhile, Walmart is slashing the price of a Callaway men's 12-piece golf club set by $140 and cutting the price of the beautiful Drew chair by Drew Barrymore by more than $90. Those are some pretty good deals there. Those are all online only tomorrow at Walmart. Meanwhile, at Best Buy, they're celebrating Cyber Sunday and Monday with savings up to 50% off select products. And at Target.com, on the Target app and on the Target app right now, you can save up to $200 on select Apple devices and up to 50% off small appliances and cookware, plus an additional 15% off select items from brands including Ninja and Cuisinart. Now, all in all, our experts say to pay particular attention to laptops, beauty, and clothing sales this Cyber Monday, guys.
Well, you just piqued our interest about that beautiful chair, beautiful Drew
chair.
Beautiful
Drew chair.
It even swivels, so good deals there. Thank you, Will.
All right, let's turn to college football and the results from Rivalry Week. ABC's Ike Ajachi is here with the highlights. He stays up later than all of us and comes in with all the energy and best dressed on this Sunday.
You know, I try a little. I'm just trying to be like you guys. That's all.
Come on now.
Listen, it was Rivalry Weekend, and it delivered statement wins and late game drama across college football, from the game in Ann Arbor to a wild finish in Norman and history in Knoxville. The playoff picture just got a whole lot clearer.
This morning, the script has finally been flipped in Ann Arbor. Top-ranked Ohio State finally winning the game, grinding out a 27-9 win over number 15 Michigan.
At the 25, Sain again near side, intercepted!
Julian Sain shook off an early interception and answered with 3 touchdown passes, including a 4th down, 35-yard strike to star freshman Jeremiah Smith. that broke things open before halftime. As snow started covering the field, the rivalry stayed heated, with Ohio's mascot crossing out Michigan's M and writing Ohio on the turf.
It's going to be David Muir. Touchdown, Oregon.
Out west, number 5 Oregon strengthened its playoff case with a 26-14 road win at Washington, riding 4 field goals from Atticus Sappington and a late catch-and-run touchdown by Malik Benson to put it away.
And Benson is going to score. Touchdown, Ducks.
In Norman, number 8 Oklahoma needed late heroics to survive LSU, 17-13.
Incomplete. The Sooners will take over on downs.
After 3 interceptions, quarterback John Mateer redeemed himself with a 58-yard bomb to Isaiah Satenga with just over 4 minutes left.
It's room service. Satenga.
And in Knoxville, Vanderbilt didn't just snap a skid against Tennessee, it made history.
Touchdown, Diego Pavia.
Quarterback Diego Pavia put together a Heisman-type night, throwing for 268 yards and a touchdown and running for 165 yards and another score in a 45-24 Commodores win, clinching the Commodores' first 10-win season.
Now, as for Alabama and the rest of the Roll Tide,
there we go.
They had to sweat it out at Jordan-Hare, but the Tide made just enough plays late to edge Auburn and keep their SEC title and playoff hopes alive. The win sets up an Alabama-Georgia matchup, our favorite matchup in the SEC, and that's the championship game, and it's going to be the 4th time since 2018, guys. How about that?
Real quick, that's not our favorite matchup in the SEC
Well,
as a Mizzou fan, but I'm just going to say that's fine. That's fine. We love that rivalry week wrap-up.
Rivalry week.
Rivalry weekend.
Yes,
Thank you,
weekend.
Ike.
Thank you.
All right, still coming up from college football to the NFL on GMA, the must-win matchups, including the Bills and the Steelers. Coach Herm Edwards joins us.
And Travel Tuesday, what you need to know and the deals. Stick around.
Welcome back to GMA. Oh, that voice. Love is not wasted from Olivia Dean for her fans. The singer pushing for a price cap at face value on resale tickets to her upcoming tour. Ticketmaster responded saying it will refund customers who overpaid and supports Olivia's commitment to fair price ticketing.
That's
Another
great.
reason
Yes.
to love her.
Absolutely. And the voice.
Unbelievable.
Incredible. All right, let's take a look at some of the other big stories that we're following on this Sunday morning. A historic day for Pope Leo's first international trip as pontiff, heading to Lebanon after attending an Orthodox divine liturgy in Turkey. Pope Leo is expected to deliver a message of peace for the nation that's seen its share of violence and conflict, including recent Israeli airstrikes.
15 arrests in New York City over possible ICE activity. The protesters were seen blocking vehicles and shouting ICE out of New York. This happened in the city's Chinatown neighborhood, where federal agents carried out immigration enforcement action last month. No word on charges.
And on a much lighter note, no winner overnight for the Powerball jackpot, which means it's only growing bigger. The big prize now $740 million. The next drawing is tomorrow night.
Gosh, it feels like we keep getting these big mega jackpots.
We do, and we keep not winning.
I know. That's
Somebody
true.
is.
Right, yeah.
All right, so as we mentioned, it's the busiest travel day of the year. So we're going to start this half hour here with the much needed advice on what to do and to get a preview of those Travel Tuesday deals. Just a few days away now. Travel expert Katie Nastro from Going.com joins us with that.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Happy post-Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy
post-Thanksgiving.
Everybody's still recovering.
That's right. And happy busiest travel day.
Yes.
What advice do you have for people who are traveling right now?
Super quick. We want travelers to remember, if you're hitting the roads, you want to get out there earlier than you think you need. AAA is estimating that from 11 a.m. onward, they're going to see heavy traffic just grow and grow. So get out there soon. After this, after you watch this. And then if you are flying, just know that there's been some crummy weather in the Midwest that's actually causing travel disruptions across the system. So you want to make sure you have that airline app downloaded, push notifications on, and take advantage of those winter weather waivers. Delta, American, United, all in effect. You can make changes to your itinerary without any additional cost.
Always great to know. And then as we're looking ahead to Travel Tuesday, how has this become such a big thing now?
Yeah, you know, it is the travel industry's sort of response to this season of spending that we're in. They're carving out a day for themselves to be able to offer discounts to travelers to sort of spark some inspiration for the year ahead.
I love this, Katie, and love that you're here for this. What is the best way to approach the day and scout out the deals? Are there certain holidays we can plan ahead for?
Yeah, so I have a couple things to go through. So I want travelers to keep in mind, come with a little bit of homework of what type of trip that you want for the year ahead in 2026. It's unlikely you're going to find those deep discounts for, say, the winter holidays at this point. So look towards, maybe summer, spring break, things of that nature. And then I want you to be selective. Not every discount is going to be a great discount. It's likely going to come with restrictions, blackout dates, et cetera, et cetera. So I want you to be selective, and I want you to look for things starting at roughly 40% off and up. And then last but not least, I want you to think, if you don't get any deals across Travel Tuesday, it's okay. We're coming into the second most magical time of the year, low season in travel. January, parts of February, affordability up the wazoo. So remember that.
All right.
And even before Travel Tuesday, I know you're already seeing some deals. What are you saying?
Yes. Okay, so right now, American Airlines doing one-ways for starting at $59 across domestic routes up to $99, which is great, as well as Fiji Airways doing $698 nonstop from the West Coast out to the South Pacific, which is over 50% off, which is pretty stellar, going approved. And then looking at hotels, we're looking at, I should say with hotels, if you have a property in mind, go directly to them, sign up for their newsletter. They're likely doing promotions specific for them.
Right.
As well as we want you to look at beaches and sandals up to 65% off. That is stellar. Those are selling out already.
The all-inclusives, right?
All-inclusive, exactly. Westgate up to 50% off, and that's domestic resorts across the country, good for families, as well as Auto Camp, which is really funny, those Airstreams. You can go to a national park and then, have a little bit of creature comfort after.
Oh, nice.
As well as Disloyalty, up to 100 different hotels across the globe. And then coming into cruises, you got Virgin, Celebrity doing 75 to 80% off. That second sailor, some onboard credits for you, MSC, starting at $199 for select trips, and kids sail free, which is always a great deal. And then rounding it all out, we've got subscriptions and tours. Get your guide, 50% off. 12,000 cities across the country for activities. And then I got a plug going. We're doing a multi-year sale, so you can get great deals in the years ahead. Up to 40%
Oh, wow.
off.
Okay, so you look forward to that big trip coming up. All right. Well, thank you so much. You got me thinking about the all-inclusives and the buffet.
Yeah, and in great spots.
Now I always get in trouble at the buffet line. Thank you so much. Appreciate it as always.
Week 13 in the NFL season, featuring a slate of must-win games for teams in the playoff hunt. ESPN football analyst Herm Edwards joins us with the lowdown. Good morning to you, Coach. Let's start with the Rams versus the Panthers. The Rams have been rolling. They're on a 6-game winning streak, but they're facing a Panthers team that has to win. What do you think we'll see this afternoon?
Well, the Rams are going to win. There's no doubt about that. I think the way the Rams have been playing, they're one of the hottest teams in pro football right now. Matthew Stafford is the MVP candidate. Has two receivers that are uncoverable right now. Puka and obviously Adams, and their defense is playing well. So this is a complete football team. In my opinion, they're probably the best team in the NFC right now.
All right, let's talk about my Niners. They were great for all of us last week. Remember, we picked them in the Who's with Herm. All of us did well on that one. Now they're facing the Browns, led by Shedeur Sanders now. What do you expect to see in this one?
Well, I expect 49ers to win, and they're on the precipice of becoming the playoff team. They have dug themselves out of a big hole, and they're a hot team right now. Now, Purdy can't throw 3 interceptions like he did last week, but they still won. But I like this 49er team. They just need some teams to lose, but they just need to keep winning. They're in playoff mode, and this guy right here, he's another MVP candidate. No one can stop this guy, McCaffrey, right now. And they're a very good football team, a dangerous football team, especially if they get in the playoffs.
I like that analysis.
All right, Coach, let's talk about the Bills facing the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers is expected to play even with a broken wrist on his non-throwing hand. What are your thoughts?
Well, two quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers, obviously, this is going to be probably his last season. That's why he's in Pittsburgh right now. He's going to gut it out and try to play today. I think the Steelers are favorite because they're playing at home. Josh Allen is a one-man band. Doesn't get a lot of help, when you think about this football team. He tries to do everything by himself. I think it's starting to catch up with him. They need to complete this team and do a better job enhancing this team with other players, especially on the defensive side of it.
All right. Well, thanks to Witt's Niners, as we talked about here, we all scored for Who's with Herm. So let's take a look at the numbers right now. Coach, you've got 7. Janae has 8. I have 9. Yes, I do. Whit is trying to catch up.
Hey, stop.
With 4.
Struggling.
Stop.
Monday Night Football features the Giants versus the Patriots. Herm, what's your pick?
Oh, come on. Oh. Really? This ain't that figure. Look, the pesky Patriots, they're trying to win 10 in a row right now. I'm going with the Patriots.
Pesky Patriots.
Yeah.
Huh? What do you guys think?
What are you going?
No, you guys go first.
No, you
go. No, you go.
I love New York. I do, but
stop it.
I've got to go for the Patriots.
Yeah, we all love New York, but the Giants are struggling, so we're all going with the Patriots.
Wait, hold on a second.
oh,
Hey, Coach,
really?
I'm going to throw a dart on this one.
Oh, boy.
A Jackson dart. He's back. This is the time in the season when we see upsets and we see things happen.
Look
I
at
think the
Coach.
Giants
Look
can
at
do
Coach.
it. I'm going for the Giants. Look, I'm
You doing
desperate.
what?
You saw my score up there.
You've had too much eggnog. Don't do it. Don't do it. Whatever you
I'm
do,
going for the
stop
New
it.
York Football Giants. And keep the eggnog coming, Coach.
No. What did they put in the eggnog? It's no. Don't do it.
You know what I think
Oh,
of when
my
I
God.
think of an eggnog? I think of goose eggs.
Goose egg.
That's what you're getting.
All right. Thank you, Gio. Coach, you're the best. Appreciate your advice, even when we don't follow it. All right, you can see the Giants face the Patriots Monday Night Football at 8 Eastern on ESPN. Get ready for an upset. And coming up here on Good Morning America, our group chat, the stories and images that got us talking this week.
But we are back now this morning with our group chat and the stories that piqued our interest this week. And I'm starting with the fact that lots of families gathered together for Thanksgiving, but there are many people out there who are estranged from their families, going no contact. Oprah just did a podcast on the topic. Check this out.
A Cornell University study now shows that almost 1/3 of Americans are actively estranged from a family member. That is
1/3 of Americans. So there are so many reasons why someone might decide to go no contact with a family member, whether it's healing from trauma, resetting boundaries, dealing with emotional insecurity. Regardless of how necessary it may feel, it can still be really difficult, even isolating, especially around the holidays. So I think it's just a good reminder for the rest of us, all of us, that this time of year is not warm and fuzzy for everyone. And it's always a good reminder and worth reaching out and checking on your friends, your people, making sure everyone's good.
Just being mindful of other people, what positions they might be in their lives too. Because sometimes you get together as a group, you're complaining about your petty problems, realizing that other folks are going through some heavier stuff for sure. Also on the Thanksgiving theme, but in a different way, I was very surprised by this. Leftovers, I'm a big fan, right? Apparently many of us keep our leftovers way too long. We're making ourselves sick here. I had this whole debate with my wife. So here is the guidance from the USDA right here. Turkey and gravy, 3 to 4 days in the fridge, up to 4 months in the freezer. That means like eat it today or throw it out. Potatoes, yam, stuffing, 4 days in the fridge, 2 months in the freezer. Cranberry sauce can last a little bit longer, 7 to 10 days in the fridge. If you get the kind in the can that I was like with the ribs, that just goes forever. Fruit pies, 2 days at room temperature, and then 2 more days in the fridge.
So how much pie did you eat yesterday?
I had like 4 slices
one day.
4 slices of pie yesterday. 2 after lunch, 2 after dinner. Had to get rid of it.
Totally.
But don't make yourself sick. Throw it out or put it in the freezer.
So lots of love this week for Thanksgiving, but also lots of kitchen drama, right? So Tommy and I posted this little video. It was the sound that you're going to hear is from that creek whose name we can't mention on TV.
The show? Yeah.
Next step is to fold in the cheese.
What does fold in the cheese mean?
Fold it in.
I understand that, but how do you fold it? Do you fold it in half like a piece of paper and drop it in the pot, or what do you do?
David, I cannot show you everything.
Okay, well, can you show me one thing?
So it's just a silly little thing. That's that famous scene with Catherine O'Hara and Dan Levy, of course. But it got me thinking, like I was looking at this recent survey, and this was kind of surprising. More men admit to not cooking than women. So that's kind of interesting. And younger people are less likely to cook. So I just wondered, who did the cooking?
Oh, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
I do a lot of dishes and cleaning and prepping, but definitely Andrea stepped up.
And as the woman here and the youngest on set, I do not cook.
And I did not cook.
There you go.
So thank you.
Hey, but we
Colleen,
talk real good on TV, don't we?
Sure.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us here on this Sunday.
It's been a great Sunday. You can catch more news coverage and weather with Whit and Samara over on ABC News Live.
Right, we're going on the stream. See you there in a bit. Have a great week, everybody.
See you tomorrow.